Hello, everybody. Self-Care Samantha here. And did you know that there are 8 elements of self-care? You should if you've been following me. So on our last video, we discussed the inner world. This video, we are discussing the outer world. And I want you to know that in 2 videos from now, I'm going to be teaching you my method on how to manage these 8 elements every day of your life. Most of these require daily care, some of them weekly care. However, they need your care because it is self-care, exactly. Okay, so let's jump into the outer world. I will link the inner world video at the end of this video so you can figure out everything that we previously talked about if this is your first time here. So let's talk about our environmental self-care. Talking about number 4 here. So environmental self-care, I'm not talking about the turtles and the plastic, although I do think that's quite important. Environmentalism is important to me. But I am talking specifically about your personal environment, the place where you spend the most time, which is most likely going to be home and where you work, okay? So when you have a cluttered physical space, you will have a cluttered mind. Why? Because subconsciously you're aggravated and you're thinking, oh, that's dirty, oh, that's messy, And while that's going on in your head, it reduces the amount that you can think creatively. So having a clean environment is extremely important. Now, I want to be really clear about what is a clean environment. I don't mean sanitized to the point of it being like a clean room. I mean like having order, having system, having a way that you know everything is organized to the point that you can actually function. So what does that mean? For me, that means every day doing a 5-minute tidy. I literally spend 5 minutes. I usually pick a favorite song and then I walk around my house, which is where I work and where I live, and I put things away and replace them or wipe them down, whatever the case is. Okay. So creating a system, a cleaning system, is really important. Okay. I'm actually going to show you how I managed the cleaning system, because for me, when I was at my worst, my house was a disaster and it ate me up all the time. Okay, so my grit board, which is I'll be teaching you in 2 videos from now, started with doing my daily chores. Okay, and I have created a method to show you how to manage all of these, including a nighttime and morning routine, so that every day you have a good day and every night you're set up to have a good day. That doesn't mean that things aren't going to happen. That might cause a harder day, but for your personal self, your personal environment, you have a lot of control, okay? So I want to say here, I just want to check my notes really quick so I don't forget. Okay, so important things that happen in your cleaning system are going to be subtracting from the problem. We're going to talk about that a few times today, okay? Don't add to the problem. Don't buy stuff right now to organize your house. Don't buy stuff because you've seen a Temu thing that's like organize. I've seen a lot of Temu commercials that are like, buy this organizer. Don't do that. Okay, don't do that. If you need to eventually, it'll make sense. But first we want to subtract, not add to the problem. So if you have too much stuff in your house, buying more stuff to organize it is not the answer. The answer is subtracting from the problem. That means getting rid of stuff, okay? So get rid of stuff, okay? Example, maybe you are living by yourself like myself, or maybe you are a small family of 3, but you have dishes for 16. Get rid of them, okay? Maybe you haven't actually filtered through your clothes in years, and you have stuff you never wear. Get rid of it. You can go to the thrift store, okay? I have met a lot of people who have this idea that they're going to sell all their stuff. If you haven't done it yet, and you've been holding on to your stuff for 3, 4, 5, 10, 16 years, get rid of it. Just bring it to the thrift store. Just throw it out, whatever the case is, okay? But subtract from your problem before you add to it, okay? Once you've gone through your stuff and you've thrown out a bunch of things you really don't need, then it might be time to purchase one of those Temu or Amazon organizers, but ultimately you probably don't need that. You probably need to get rid of even more. Okay, I'll tell you quickly in my own life, at one point a few years back, I decided to sell my house and move to Mexico, and it forced me to get rid of everything. And I kept a couple of things with my best friend while I was gone. And when I came back, I realized how little I actually need to live with. So for myself personally, I live alone. So I only have 2 plates. I only have 2 cups. I only have a couple of forks and knives because I am only one person. And I know for myself that the more dishes that exist in my cupboard, the more dishes I have to do, which means I have more stuff to do in the day. I am trying to subtract from that. Okay. So environmental self-care, subtract from the issue. Get rid of the things that you don't need. That includes in your office, knickknacks, dust collectors, the plant you killed that's been sitting there forever. Get rid of it, okay? Anything else we want to talk about here? No, I think that's good. So, no, that's good for environmental self-care. So, check, we did it. So, let's check it here. Now we're going to check about your social. So, number 5, okay, this is where we're at. Social self-care. What does that mean? Well, it means that you need to be aware of who you socialize with, okay? Why? Because people are just like food. They're either poison or they're medicine, okay? There's a beautiful saying in the world. I don't know who said it, but I know you can find it everywhere. And it says, you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if you have 5 close friends and you guys talk shit about each other or behind each other's back, or I don't know, you want to try to heal, but all of your friends are like, oh my God, why do I want to do that? It's probably time to get a new social circle. Okay, so back to what I was saying about subtracting. Okay, let's write that down so we don't forget. Okay, subtracting. In your social circle, you need to do an inventory. Okay, inventory. So what does inventory mean on your social circle? You're going to write a pros and list con about the people you spend the most time with, okay? And you're going to think first, what are the values that matter to you? Okay, so for me, for example, I need friends to be brutally honest with good delivery, okay? And I need friends that are constantly on the self-improvement chain because I have proven it to myself over and over. When I'm friends with people who are not interested in self-improvement, not only do I suffer, I resent them, which only adds to my suffering, and we're trying to subtract from our problems, okay? So you're going to do a pros and cons list about the people that are in your life. There are going to be times when you have to break up with friends. That's not weird, okay? The only reason it's weird is because we have this society that gives us ideas that we're being rude and blah, blah, blah. No, that's stupid. If you're being dragged down by the people that you spend time with, and you're trying to move on up, it's time to get rid of those people, okay? And let me tell you, if you're here and this is where your friends are, but you want to get to here and your friends are not interested in moving, guess what? In the next level, there's better people that are already on your level, if not already reaching for higher than you, which is only going to elevate you also, okay? We cannot bring everyone with us on our journey to self-improvement. You have to accept that, okay? It's not bad. They are not bad people. You're not a bad person. It's just, it's not good for you, and you are the only person in control of the quality of your life because that's what matters, okay? So social self-care, you're going to inventory. Let's see my notes here. Ooh, this is a really big one. Family. Family members can be extremely heavy, toxic, rude, resentful, everything I can think of. There's a million words, okay? What matters there is that, hear me out, it's okay to also inventory them, and it's also okay to subtract them, okay? You don't need to keep abusive people in your life just because they're your family. That is not okay. That is not okay. If somebody is constantly hurting you and you know that, you are the only person who has control to subtract that from the problems that you have, okay? So don't be afraid to realize what's going on. In my last video, I talked about Dr. Nicole LaPera, and she actually does a lot on the no contact with family and reasons why. I would definitely recommend looking into her work. Her work is immensely helpful. I'm not only going to talk about her, but just for this particular, for family, I really think she's worth listening to. And understanding what is no contact, why would you do that, in what situations, okay? I can go a lot deeper into this, but because I want to get through the 8 elements first, we're going to just stick to kind of doing things a little bit fast. And over the next many videos, I'm going to jump into a lot of things real deep, and we are going to cry and laugh, and it's going to be crazy. Okay, so subtract from your problems. Don't be afraid to inventory your friends. Don't be afraid to inventory your family, and choose what's best for you. There are people in the world that are not best for you, and there's going to be a point in your journey that, yes, you will be alone. And that's okay. Because remember, I just said, you're going to be leveling up. This is pretty lonely. But here, there's more people, and they're better quality, and they're going to help you move up. Okay. So what's next? Recreation. I'm actually going to change this to play. Okay. Because recreation, I don't know, I don't love the word. So anyways, I'm kind of a stickler for words. So number 6, recreation. So what is recreation? Recreation is recreate. Okay. That really works for art, but if you just want to go like play a sport, it's not like really recreating something other than like playing the game over and over again, but it is play nonetheless. Art is play, playing sports is play, whatever. Doing puzzles for your intellectual self-care is play. It's just got great benefits. But the beauty of most of the things we do for play is interchangeable with our intellectual self-care. Okay, so that's great news because that means you can kind of do what's the saying? Hit 2 birds with 1 stone. Okay. And again, we're going to talk about this later. After number 8, I'm going to do a video on how to manage all of these things. Okay. So for play, you're going to, let's look at my notes real quick so I don't forget. Cause team start. Okay. So let's say you want to play a sport and you looked into it and it's way too expensive for you because it's like a professionally managed league of, I don't know, soccer, and the yearly fees are like $500. You just can't afford that. Hey, that's okay. You're not the only one. Lots of people cannot afford that. So here's my suggestion. Start, well, that should be a T, your own, okay? And what you can do is just create a pickup league. And if you have to rent something, like if you have to rent a space to play soccer or basketball or whatever it is, you just tell all the people that want to join, they all have to pay their share, $5 each, $6 each, whatever it is, but help them keep it low cost as well. Don't try to make this a profit-making thing if you already can't afford this. Instead, why don't you create the social goodness, the social self-care of being able to start something that everyone can afford? Could be pickleball, could be a puzzle group, it could be a reading club. Like there's so many things you can do that don't have to cost money that still help you play and still help you enjoy all the other things that we have to take care of. There are other things. I'll tell you how I started painting. One time my best friend called me and I was really cranky and she said, "You'd be really good at painting." And I was like, "Whatever, Dixie." And then she said, "Why don't you just go spend $20 at the dollar store?" And I thought she was like, whatever, but she's very artistic and she's very like, la, 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 and I love that about her, okay? But I was definitely not like that before. But you know what? I took her advice and I spent the $20 at the dollar store and I started painting. And within a year, I was doing art shows and selling my art, okay? So what turned out as play ended up becoming something I can make money off of, but it was never really my intention. And for $20, it was a really good investment, okay? So starting your own thing, doing things at the dollar store, like these do not take away from the quality of what you're doing. They're just a starting point, okay? Maybe your pickup sports turns out really good and you have so many people applying for it that you can, make a little profit off it or do double teams and manage them for a small fee, whatever the case is, okay? But don't focus on the money part. Focus on finding a way to do things you love that have nothing to do with money. Or if they do have to do with money, they don't have to be the highest cost, okay? For the most part, for the most average person, we're not really rich, okay? So doing things at dollar store level is good. It's great. Dollar store has a million things that you can do for very cheap and for a lot of fun, okay? Next on our list is financial self-care, okay? Let's write dollar bills, y'all. Bills, y'all. Okay, so as always, we want to subtract from our problems, okay? Yeah, of course we all want to get rich. I do, you do. I don't know a single person in the world that I have met that doesn't want to get rich, but the chances of getting to elite riches are pretty low for most of us. we should be aiming for good stuff, okay? Like reasonable amounts of money that let our lives live instead of worrying about having $1 zillion that's not even worth having in the long run, okay? Why do I say that? Because one thing I know about meeting millionaires in my lifetime is they're not happier because internally they're usually messed up somehow or sad about something. They still have broken hearts, all that stuff. Money will not change the full spectrum experience that is life. Yes, it'll make certain things easier, but when it comes down to what is life experience, money doesn't change hearts being broken, people you love dying, disease, all these types of things, okay? We don't get that taken away from us just because we have money, okay? So in financial self-care, the first thing I want to talk about again is subtracting from our problems. So of course you're going to do a budget, but the first thing you're going to do, very first thing, is again, you're going to inventory. Okay, inventory is so important because it helps you figure out what's going on. So before you do a budget, what you're going to do is you're going to inventory the last 3 months of your money. And you're going to see, where have you been spending money? Where have you been spending money needlessly? Where have you been spending money extra on things that maybe you need to catch up on? And what's going on in the bigger picture of your money, okay? Then you're going to do a budget, okay? The one thing I was so lucky to learn from my personal parents who were crazy, my dad always pushed this on me, was it's not about how much money you make, it's about how you manage the money you have. It's not about how much money you make, it's about how much money, how much, ooh, I was doing so good there, I was on a roll. It's about how much you manage your money, okay? So managing your money means inventorying what you've already been doing so that when you do make a budget, it makes sense. And the point of making a budget is not allotting a certain amount of money so that you can go for entertainment. If you're at this point where money is out of control, you need to focus on the inventory and figure out where your money is bleeding out to unnecessarily. And I'm sure that when you notice how many times you've spent, I don't know, $5 on a coffee drink thing from Starbucks. You do that 5 days a week, so that's $25. So 4 weeks out of the month, that's $100 a month. So times 12, you're spending about $1,200 on sugary coffee drinks per year. Well, I'm sure you could use that $1,000 for a bunch of other stuff. So that's why you're going to inventory before you budget. Now, I'm not saying you should get rid of all the vices that you have and love, but I am saying there's some that are probably worth getting rid of. Or, dare I say, make it yourself. Personal vice, I love kombucha. I love it, I love it, I love it. A bottle of 480 milliliters where I live is $4.49 plus tax. So I learned how to make it, and making it, I can make an entire 8 bottles for the same cost as one from the store. It's not very hard. It's actually a lot of fun, and I get to play with all the flavors. So that's been a huge money helper for me. And I can say that for quite a few things. There's a lot of things that I make that I'm like, oh, this is a lot cheaper. I make my own shampoo. Don't mind my hair. I know I always have messy hair, but it's because I live in the country. And if there's not twigs in my hair, I've already been in the lake like 6 times today. So I got a lot of pollen in my hair right now. Either way, though, like, I don't buy expensive shampoos. I make shampoo and it costs pennies. I don't buy expensive cleaners. My house is cleaned by baking soda and vinegar. It's super cheap. It's super effective. And I never have any allergy problems or anything like that. Okay. So there's lots of things you can do for your money to manage it. And I can't stress enough, you need to inventory first. Okay. We're constantly thinking about subtracting from our problems instead of adding to our problems. Okay. So environment, inventory, environment, social, recreation, or play, and then our finance. This makes up our outer world of self-care. Okay, so if we can manage all 8 elements of self-care, we're going to have a pretty good quality of life. This is the starting point. This is the basics. This is the foundation of getting your life to where you want it to be. Okay. In the next video, I'm going to talk about body. I'm obsessed with bodies since I was a child. I'm like, what? I own one of those? That's so cool. And I've always wanted to know how my body works. It's going to be a slightly longer video. We're going to talk about things that affect our body in a negative way that we can help ourselves with. And we're also going to talk about what affects us in a positive way and how we can do that. Okay. I do want to teach some fitness on this page. I'm a fitness teacher. I want to include because I want you to know how important exercise is. So stick around if you're interested in that. So if you like this video, I would love it if you would leave me a comment. I would love it if you liked and subscribed. That would mean everything to me because I plan on keep on going with this for some time. Is there anything else I want to tell you? I'm going to give you a little sneak peek into what's happening in the future here. These 8 elements, I'm going to teach you how to create your own customizable, what I call grit board, so that you can plug every one of these in so that during the week you can ensure that you've taken care of yourself, okay? And I want you to know that some of this stuff is 2 birds with 1 stone, okay? Playing and doing something like a puzzle or whatever, you can do that with your friends, and now you've taken that out, which affects your emotions and your spirit, okay? Finance, it's going to use your intellect, okay? But that doesn't mean you shouldn't do anything with your intellect other than money. It means that you got to keep on working on the problem solving, okay? Keeping your environment clean often means keeping the bright people in your environment too. So again, a lot of this stuff is going to work together. So it's not going to be as overwhelming as it seems. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for considering yourself. Thank you for wanting to take care of yourself. I firmly believe that if all adults could handle these 8 elements of self-care every day of their lives, we would have a much happier world. And that's my goal to give out. So we'll see you soon. Next video is coming out in just a couple days. Bye.